how MCTs are affecting your health. Hey, what's happening? This is Zisai Rodriguez, host of the Dastination Podcast, where I cater to the professional working man, 40 and above, who's looking to make positive changes to his health, lose weight, and become stronger overall through simple lifestyle changes. I'm here to share inspiration, tips, and proven lessons that I've personally learned and lived through in my 40 plus years on this here beautiful blue planet. So today we'll start the discussion off by answering the question, is walking just as good as running? And then we'll move on to our second segment and talk about how MCTs are affecting your health. And listen, your health and fitness goals are easier to achieve than you might think. First and foremost, it's all about getting your mind straight right from the get-go. And so I've got a freebie for you called the 10 Dastination Mind Hacks that'll help you whip your mind into shape so that you can turn around and whip your body into shape. If that sounds good to you, then get on over to podcast.dastination.com/mindhacks right now to get your freebie today and start using these 10 hacks to exercise consistently and create the real and lasting results that you're truly after and that you absolutely deserve. That's podcast.dastination.com/mindhacks. Again, that's podcast.dastination.com/mindhacks. Be in the know starting right now. Also, don't forget to rate me on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you're listening to this episode right now. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, because if you do, then you'll have 10 years of good luck starting from the minute that you smash that button. And you'll also be on your way to living to 100. With that being said, let's move into our first segment with Healthy Conversations. Oh yeah. How is everybody out there? I hope you're doing excellent. I hope you're doing great in spite of what's going on in the world with Roe v. Wade and whatnot. It's amazing how the previous week I was celebrating the championship victory from the NBA Golden State Warriors. And then just a few days later, literally the very next week, my bubble got burst with this whole Roe v. Wade debacle. I don't even know what to say about it. It is insane what took place, but I don't want to get too deep into discussion about that. That's not what we're about here. But what is popping in the world today as of late? Well, it looks like COVID and monkeypox are arm in arm in like this arm wrestle, tug of war type of battle for supremacy on the news channels. And apparently it looks like New York City, my hometown, and DC, the area of the country that I fled from for beautiful California, have run out of monkeypox vaccines. I don't know. Have you guys heard about that? That's freaking insane. I don't know what's going on with this monkeypox epidemics. What can you say? I mean, is it real? Is it not? I mean, what's going on? Are they gonna start handing out vaccines for monkeypox now? Who knows? But what I do know is that we should keep making incremental changes on a daily basis so that our overall health can improve, But anyway, what are we talking about on this week's installment of Healthy Conversations? We're answering the question, is walking just as good as running? Like, think about it. This debate has gone on for years, you know what I mean? And I'm sure it will continue to go on for another however many years. So I'm sure you've probably heard that, sitting is the new smoking, right? And I'm sure that you've heard that exercise can help lower the risk of heart disease, right? No surprise there. So let's talk about something that you may have not heard, right? If you're under the impression that in order for cardio to count towards your weight loss goal, that it has to be like high intensity running or something like that, like that, you may be under that impression, because that's what a lot of I'm not going to say fitness professionals. I'm going to say a lot of fitness marketing messages have conditioned us to believe. But here's a surprise for you is that walking could be all you need in order to reach a strong, healthy heart. How you like that? Think about it. It reduces your risk of high blood pressure. It reduces your risk of cholesterol, diabetes, coronary disease, just the same. And for the record, this is as per a study in the journal Arteriosclerosis, Thrombosis, and Vascular Biology. One doctor in that journal mentioned how running and walking are very important to your cardiovascular health for multiple reasons. So there was a lot of reasons why, he listed off a whole bunch of health benefits and why you should incorporate running and walking, like both, or at a minimum, one or the other. So he mentioned, how they both help burn calories. They help improve your cardio and muscular toning. How it lowers blood pressure, how it increases endorphin release, and how it decreases stress and improves your overall health. So those are some amazing benefits, if you ask me. So one way to think about this is that running and walking both get you to your baseline cardio fitness goals, but running will essentially do that. It'll do it faster. It'll get you there faster. Obviously, if you're comparing running with walking is slower than running. If you think about it, will get you there faster. But while we're thinking here, if you're thinking about, like the story of the tortoise and the hare, the walking or the slow pace will get you there just as well. You know what I mean? Now, that being said, if speed isn't an issue, then what you have to know is that walking does have its own advantages. Think about it. It might be easier to fit into your day routine, just to start off with, it also doesn't take any special shoes, there are walking shoes out there that you could buy, but you don't have to get walking shoes. That's what we're getting at here. You can totally use whatever shoes you have available to you. You know what I mean? Obviously you want comfortable walking shoes, right? But you don't necessarily have to go out and buy walking shoes. In fact, what I do is I buy really good workout shoes, whether they're, like cross trainers or shoes for lifting weights or something like that, like something with some quality, some support. And then, because you can't use those very long, if you're working out every day, as you should, or frequently throughout the week, I should say, then those shoes, you're gonna wear them out, obviously, because that's what happens as you're working out. You wear them and the soles start getting wear out. The arch kind of doesn't quite support your arch anymore, So what I do when a shoe gets to that point, because you can tell when a shoe has lived past its prime, you know what I mean? When it starts getting to that point, then it's, I'm not going to say downgraded. I'll use them for daily walking or, just daily use. So, that's what I do. If you guys have a different approach, let me know. Drop it in the comments. I want to hear some feedback. What do you have to say? How do you approach this situation or this scenario with, do you buy shoes just for walking, or do you buy, workout shoes, and then when they get past their prime, use them as walking shoes? Let me know. But not only all of that with the shoes is all great, that you don't have to buy any special shoes like that. Walking can be done by people whose joints might be too aggravated from too much running, So, people that have joint issues or that have conditions that affect the joint or pain in their knees, things like that. Maybe the best thing about walking though, is that it can truly be done anywhere. Like, you can totally go out for a long, dedicated walk, but you don't have, I mean, you can, but you don't have to. You can also just, like, think about it. You can actually just walk up and down your hallway in your building if you live in a complex, like, so, because I always think about how can I take these tips and apply them to people who live in apartment buildings, because I used to live in an apartment building, and it was my apartment building did not have a gym, so I had to get creative. You know what I mean? So if you have a building that doesn't have an elevator, that's even better, because you can literally walk up and down the stairs several times a day. And yes, people are going to start looking at you weird and funny, but after a while they're gonna get used to you going up and down the stairs, and they're gonna be like, oh, whatever, he's just doing his exercise and whatnot, so he ain't bothering nobody. We're gonna let him be. There's also some data that suggests that since walking is lower intensity, it's more sustainable and leads to more visceral or belly fat loss. You know what I mean? So this is actually something I'm thinking of experimenting with. Like, I'm looking into finding some proven approaches to lowering visceral fat, like my own personal visceral fat, because I have this fancy scale that measures my BMI and some other key numbers, some key indicators that are kind of critical to maintaining good overall health and weight. And one of those numbers that it shows is visceral fat. Well, long story short, I've been keeping an eye on the visceral fat number for a while, because I know that this number is critical. Like, this number is what you should be aiming to get rid of. And I tried several different diet approaches in combination with different exercise regimens, and it hasn't really gone down much. And I'm determined to make this happen. So stay tuned, because there will be an update with that. Anyway, I talked about this with my VIP community recently, and they're all, like, surprisingly, they're all on board. So I like that. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you giving me the support that to keep me going. Like, so I'll feed back into that. You know what I mean? Apparently, this is something that a lot of people are looking for. So I'm hoping to have some actual personal data to share soon. So then I'll be sharing that with my community, and hopefully we'll all see some more success stories when it comes to visceral fat loss, because who wants that? Not me. But anyway, back to the running versus walking debate. So while walking and running both have similar benefits, and the biggest differentiator being the time that it takes you to reach your goal, let's go on the record and say that running is generally more beneficial to your, for overall weight loss. Here's a fun fact for you. Walking is one of the preferred methods of exercise for the longest living people on Earth. For the people living in these blue zones on this beautiful blue marble that we call home. Isn't that interesting? I found that fascinating, but here's the bottom line here with all this. Walking is relatively easy. We know that, right? And based on the current scientific data available, if you walk at least 30 minutes 3 times a week, then it'll give you enough physical exercise to keep your body active and healthy. So feel free to go at your own speed, because whether you run or walk it out, you'll be taking the right steps towards living a longer, healthier life. And that's what we're after here. Living longer, living healthier, living strong into our older years. Because there's one thing that we can't stop. There's a lot of things that we can control in life, but one of the things that we can't control is the stoppage of time. We can't control time, you know what I mean? Because if we could, trust me, I would have gone back in the past already and made so many changes to like my own way of being, my own personality, my way of handling situations. So anyway, and so the more you know, the better you'll be. And now with all that said and done, let's switch gears and move on to our second segment with Mighty Man. Oh yeah, oh yeah. That was a great segment. Had me going there. I'm already like I'm thinking about like adding more walking. I've been pondering the thought of getting out there more just for a simple walk, just to keep the heart going, because a lot of the things that I do, both in business and personal life, have to do in front of like me sitting in front of a computer. So I need to get more active. I started stretching more, like first thing in the morning, especially my hips. I find that I'm really super tight, super inflexible, if that's a word, I don't know, in the hip area. So I'm trying to loosen that up and get better with that. So like that's one thing that that's one change that I've made, and I'm thinking of adding more changes. I'm thinking of taking some time out, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes and a day to go out walking just to get more activity. But I don't know. We'll see how this goes. So anyway, back to MCTs. So we're talking about how MCTs, medium chain triglycerides, are affecting your health. Or do they? I mean, do they affect your health, and how do they affect your health? So first off, let's start off by defining what MCTs are, these medium chain triglycerides. So MCTs have become pretty popular with people who want to lose weight, mostly in the athletic world. But what exactly are MCTs? Like, what are they? Like, what do they do? What are they for? What is the importance of MCTs, and why are they so popular? What is it about them? Well, the short answer is that MCTs are a special type of fatty acids. And as you know, fatty acids are good for you. They actually help you sustain yourself. Like, so they help you produce energy, basically. They give you energy. They keep you fuller longer. They keep you from craving shit that you shouldn't be eating. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of benefits that come with consuming fatty acids. Like, we normally eat foods high in long chain triglycerides, or LCTs. These are foods like nuts and seeds, avocados, fish, meat. But there are only a few foods, like literally a handful, that are high in the medium chain triglycerides, the MCTs. Literally, this list is pretty short. So we've got breast milk, we've got cow's milk, we've got goat's milk, a lot of milk here, coconut oil, palm kernel oil, coconut meat, and dried coconut. So like the fatty acids that make up triglyceride can be monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, or simply saturated. And also to be noted is that every fat has some combination of monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and saturated fatty acid. But it's the predominant type of fatty acid that defines each type of fat. So, for example, olive oil, which is a great example, has mostly monounsaturated fatty acids. Soybean oil has mostly polyunsaturated fatty acids, and butter has mostly saturated fatty acids. So there you have it. In simpler terms, or as I like to say it, in terms that make sense to me, if a food has more of one particular fatty acid, then that's the fatty acid that it's known to have. And that's what determines whether or not a specific food is good or bad for you. And not to overcomplicate things, but there's the saturation of the fatty acid, or how much or how concentrated the fatty acid is, and then there's the length of the fatty acid. The length is also important to keep in mind. So you have your short chain, medium chain, and long chain. The major difference between the three is how your body breaks them down. Now, some people have problems breaking down short or long chains. And so, lucky for them, there are the medium chains available for them to consume. MCT oil, or the medium chain, which is the focus of this discussion, is made from either coconut oil or palm kernel oil. Both have high concentrations of MCTs in them. So people who have specific diseases or conditions like celiac disease, Crohn's disease, IBS, or pancreatitis, they have problems breaking down and processing the long and short chains. They would be great candidates for using MCTs. And that's basically because MCTs are absorbed, they're absorbed differently than short chain triglycerides, or the long chain, the LCTs. And they're basically transferred directly to the liver to be used as energy. And since MCTs are readily available to be used for energy, it has become popular with people who want to lose weight, and not just losing weight, but losing fat. So go figure that. A fatty acid, a fat, is going to help you lose fat. This is why it's kind of blown up with athletes, really, this whole losing fat. Most athletes go through cycles of bulking and then cutting, where they go through maybe a month of hardcore weight training, getting really strong, muscular strong. And then they follow that up with hardcore trimming or fat reduction, or maybe they, vice versa. They start with the hardcore trimming and then go into the bulking up stage, or the weight training stage. And they just keep cycling through. They just keep, bulking, cutting, bulking, cutting, bulking, cutting, and that's more or less the foundation of their training. And now, there was some research performed on lab rats, literally, that produced some promising results when it comes to MCT. They showed that MCT may work to upregulate signaling pathways to increase mitochondrial biogenesis. Now, for the record, I just read that off because it doesn't really mean much to me or many people who are not chemical engineers or scientists. But when I dug deeper into this phrase, what I found this to mean is for these lab rats that were fed a diet supplemented with MCT, what happened was that they were able to perform better on their hamster wheel, than the rats that weren't fed MCT. You know what I mean? So there was two groups of lab rodents. One group was fed MCT along with their normal diet, and the other group was fed just, the regular diet. What they found was that the rodents that were fed MCT consistently outperformed the rodents that weren't fed MCT. There was also a meta-analysis, or a sub-research of the research, that was looking for any potential for weight loss because of this overperformance or increased energy expenditure that they found in the first batch of testing or research. And so they found that MCT did actually decrease body weight, but not only that, they noticed a drop in waist and hip circumferences, total body fat, total subcutaneous fat, and even a drop in visceral fat. In fact, they were so confident about it, they said that when comparing MCTs with LCTs, they said that MCTs did significantly better than the LCTs. So the medium chain triglycerides significantly outperformed the long chain triglycerides. Now, as is the case with many of these early research findings, more research on humans need to be conducted to be more definitively determine the effectiveness of MCT oil on weight loss and cardiovascular health. So what are the negative effects of MCTs? That's a question for you to think about real quick. Are there actually any documented negative effects? Well, let's go on the record here to say that too much of anything is never a good thing, right? And same goes with MCT. This is what I found. So here's the thing. Too much of any type of fat or any one type of food can be harmful to your body. If someone eats high amounts of MCT oil, it could lead to things like bloating. It could lead to diarrhea. It could lead to other digestive conditions and abdominal discomfort, things like that. So that being said, be easy on the MCTs, my friend. Be easy. There were no major complications reported during the research studies, but what they said was that it would be smart for anyone starting out with MCTs to start off low, as in, add small amounts to your diet and then slowly go up from there. Like we've mentioned before, keep track of what you're how much you're adding to your diet and how it's making you feel, how it's affecting your body, your mood, and all that stuff. Because here's the bottom line with all of this. MCTs can most certainly have a place in your diet. There's no question about that, But whether this leads to increased energy expenditure and weight loss and fat loss and things like that, or not, like this still needs to be confirmed in more studies, as we mentioned. The initial findings are promising and are, they're pointing to this being the case, but we need to be safe. So more testing, more research has to confirm these findings before it's definitively written in stone, basically. Not only that, but whether or not MCTs can improve exercise performance through mitochondrial biogenesis, well, that also needs to be confirmed or denied. Again, the initial findings are positive, but we need to confirm this. We need to actually run more tests, more research, and get to that final determination. One last point for me to make here is this. MCT oil isn't the best tasting thing on the shelf. Let's put it out there. So if you were to add MCT, if you actually decided, hey, I feel like adding some MCT, I want to see how that works for me and my body and my situation. So if that's you and you were to add MCT oil to your diet, you may want to blend it into a smoothie or maybe add it to coffee or something like that, or in some other form or fashion or, of your choosing, that can potentially mask the taste of the oil. Because apparently it doesn't taste like watermelon Jolly Ranchers or Skittles. So if you want to taste the rainbow with your MCT oil, then I suggest a blended fruit smoothie with your oil. Just a thought, just putting it out there. And so, with all that said and done, that's it, you guys. That's my show for today. I hope you found some valuable information here, and if nothing else, I hope I've entertained you for a few minutes and was able to bring you a little manly sunshine to your day. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to listen to me. It's very much appreciated. On next week's episode, we'll be talking about how to get the best rest of your life while sleeping on your back. So fellas, if you're trying to get the most restful rest and bounce out of bed in the morning feeling like a teenager, then next week's episode is for you. And look, your health and fitness goals are easier to achieve than you might think. First and foremost, it's all about getting your mind straight right from the get-go. So I've got a freebie for you called the 10 Aspiration Mind Hacks that'll help you whip your mind into shape so that you can turn around and whip your body into shape. Does that sound good to you? Then head on over to podcast.daspination.com/mindhacks to get your freebie today and start using these 10 hacks to exercise consistently and create the real lasting results that you're truly after and that you absolutely deserve. That's podcast.daspination.com/mindhacks. Again, that's podcast.daspination.com/mindhacks. Be in the know starting right now. Also, don't forget to rate me on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you're listening to this episode right now. And hit that like, hit that subscribe button, because if you do, then you'll have 10 years of good luck starting from the minute that you smash that like button. And you'll also be on your way to living to 100. Until our next chat, take care now.